TroN AReS, the official review, response, analysis, possible critique, and memorable moments, general overview, and what I thought about the movie. Rating from 0 to 10, 0 being lowest or worst or whatever, and then, or the negative, and then 10 being the best and the highest level of quality or whatever, or good in that direction. So 0 to 10, 0 being the worst, 10 being the best, in various categories. Camera, mostly 3 categories that I will break down into other subcategories. Lights, camera, action. And then, of course, over all of this is, and through all of this is, tying it all together, the script, and then the overall quality of production, and then the plot, as well as the connection to the TroN story, if you can call it that, the TroN story, and or franchise, which a term I do not want to use for this particular franchise, now that I've said it, because it does feel like a Star Wars in some ways, where it is authentically and organically and passionately from the standpoint of each director and creator of each of these episodes. And I haven't done all the research yet on where this idea came from originally, although it does say at the end, or possibly at the beginning in the title credits or end credits, of what TroN is based on, or TroN AReS, based on characters created by, or based on something by person X and person Y, or whoever. And I need to see who that is and give them credit, because it's a really interesting concept and is ubiquitous in our society, in our culture, the one I live in, as to our references and to how we see the world. And they give us a lens, these movies, upon our own thinking, and then also upon the mechanisms of our society, while still just being a cartoon. And the overall design, I will put in the category of lights, camera, and action. This is incorporated in a lot of ways. The character, AReS, portrayed by, perfectly cast, in my opinion, portrayed by Jared Leto. And interesting that this computer program, AReS, will have a beard, or whatever, or seem to be either a man or a woman, or whatever, or have a certain color skin, or a certain color hair, or look different. All of that is never mind in this movie. These are computer programs, and their function is to carry out the will of the programmer, or of the creator, or of whoever it is, or whatever it is that's telling these programs, that I will refer to as names and he or she, so to speak, but they're computer programs. And as I perceive them on the screen, in somewhat anthropomorphic view, these computer programs look human to me, and so I'm just going to refer to them as he, her, they, them, and it, and as the program, all of those. But it's a program, but they're given personality and their names very similar to the original, where, and then the second one I don't really remember so much, TroN Legacy. I got to go back and watch that one. I need to watch all three of these movies now. TroN Legacy, and TroN AReS. And I did see TroN AReS in the movie theater, and it was, I think there were some moments in the movie that I felt were thought out very much deeply by the creator as to make a connection to the original movie that did not feel forced in like a reunion show or series finale. It all made sense as to how TroN, even if I don't remember all of it, because it did feel in some places that it was stuff moving around and things blowing up and a lot of really good acting going on, but I didn't really know what was happening or why it was going on. So I need to rewatch it. But also, this is how I remember encountering TroN. I didn't really remember a lot of the stuff that was going on in TroN when I first watched it, or in the many other viewings I've done since it first came out in theaters, whenever that was. I still don't understand it, but it's some of the concepts of it, the scientific, the sci-fi elements, I'm fascinated by, and I see some of that now in our own world today. And so this is woven very well into the movie, the new version, TroN AReS, and you see this character, this computer program, AReS, coming together. And I wasn't quite sure what it was or what I was watching. And then it's this character being suited up, this program being booted up, if you will, for some reason. And then you see that as the movie goes through, this, and again, this is spoiler free, as the movie goes through, this program is used over and over again for essentially the same purpose, or by the same programmer, I should say, and to do various tasks. And you'll see this in the movie. This is a program that's set out, looks very much like a special ops team leader, but he has a soul, it seems, that is somewhat anomalous to the program, the expectation for programs. And this is demonstrated by the dialogue, the conversations, the reactions, and then between the program, AReS, and the programmer, Dillinger, and this character Dillinger is the somewhat descendant of the original guy from the original movie, Dillinger. So I'm going to have to rewatch that to see what all of that was, because I missed a lot of what is going on in the movie, where I'm supposed to be following the movie because of the stuff just moving around on the screen. And I see people acting, but I don't really know what's going on in the movie. So I think now that I've thought it through and seen it in the context of where it sits in the line of the other movies, it makes a lot of sense, and it is also, it holds its own as its own unique TroN, much as TroN Legacy, and then of course now TroN AReS Each of these is 10 out of 10. TroN AReS is 10 out of 10. Jared Leto, perfectly cast. This other computer program that I do not know the name of the person that plays this role, the actor or actress, and I do not know what the name of this person is. And then this is the character, I think as I remember this, is Athena. And that is what this character is called. This other computer program, I believe it's Athena. And something like that. And this program is very similar to AReS and acts as a counter to AReS' conscience or moral questioning as to possibly what AReS is. And then interesting also is this other character, Athena, this other program is essentially the same thing as AReS, a program designed, created, and set in process to accomplish some mission that is in line with the agenda of and the will of the creator or the person that made this program. And there's various arguments, dialogue, conversation back and forth on a computer screen that you see in the form of typed in characters on a computer screen, but also you hear as it translates back and forth from one world to another, the digital world on one side of the screen and the so-called physical world on the other side of the screen. Someone will be typing in a keyboard and then the words will appear on the screen as where the viewer is shown. We see this on the screen, and then we are translated into the digital world where this computer program, either AReS or these computer programs, either AReS or Athena, are, and again, I'm not sure, I think that's what this other computer program's name is, but it's cast as, seems to be a black woman. And this is an interesting choice because now you have a man and a woman as represented here on screen is a good way to contrast between characters. Also, the color of their skin and then their characters, while both nuanced, and neither one of them is paper thin or cardboard, plastic. Both of these characters are well written. And on one side of the coin, you have the bad guys and this is the AReS group and the Dillinger group. And I don't remember, they're good guys. The opposite of them, the good guys, so to speak, will be the Flynn people. And again, I got to watch the movie to see what is going on. I will put this on the level of understandability, followability, unless you studied all the movies and studied the script ahead of time. I'm going to put this as terms of being able to understand this movie and follow this movie, what's going on, a 3 out of 10. And the only reason I knew what was going on in some scenes is because of watching the faces of the actors while they're delivering good dialogue, but there's just stuff going on. Things are moving around. People are getting angry. And then it's just one of these movies that you just wonder what is going on. And then the very end of the movie, again, spoiler free. Wow, what a connection to a tie-in to the first movie. And I got to watch this movie again. I'm going to give it overall a 10 out of 10. TroN AReS overall a 10 out of 10. Design, 10 out of 10 overall, including the casting. It's not just the suit of AReS. Interesting how they retained the original feel of the original while updating the technology as to what is capable as being represented on screen as to the actual vision of the director. And I got to see who the director was on this. I'll give credit in the description. But TroN AReS is memorable, just as TroN, just as TroN Legacy, but more memorable than TroN Legacy at this point. And I've only seen TroN AReS last night. And now I might watch it again when it comes out on television, or if I can see it in some recorded way. But I need to rewatch TroN, and I need to rewatch TroN Legacy, and then I will rewatch TroN AReS. But just thinking on it after maybe seeing it 12, 13 hours ago, maybe 16 hours ago. I don't remember how long the movie was in length. I don't know if it was a long, if it's a long feeling hour and a half movie or a really fast moving 4-hour movie, but it was well paced and not a second wasted on the screen if you just want to see things moving around, and a great feel, organically feels natural to make these connections to the original. And now you have, as you've seen, again, this is spoiler free, but you've already seen this on the trailers and the previews and everything that's out there already just to market the movie, as to how the digital world enters the physical world, so to speak. And these worlds go in both directions. As we saw in the original TroN, you go from this world to that world. And then now in this movie, TroN AReS, you go from that world to this world. As somewhat of a Matrix feel, somewhat of an Avengers, but not as bad as Avengers Endgame feel. This is actually a good movie. It holds together as a story. It would make a good, it would translate well to either a comic or a movie. And this one would, and a lot of different art styles I could imagine this movie would work. And the overall theme of this movie, I will say, is, if I could just pick one part of the characters here, let me see, AReS, who seems really good job here as the lead character in this movie. In my opinion, the lead character. I don't know who they would actually say is the lead character, because there was a lot of other characters. There was another character that name is Eve, and this person seems to be a scientist. It's her job to find this code to help the creator of the original code, AReS, make something happen with what he's trying to do to make a lot of money in the industry of computers, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Much in the Tony Stark line from the Marvel movies, where it's a weapons. It's everything's going to be turned into a weapon. And that's basically the premise of the movie for the bad guys, so to speak. And then for the good guys, I think the idea is follow your heart. And this goes back to the theme of the original movie with TroN and Flynn, the original Flynn, played by Jeff Bridges, who is in this movie, cast again, and comes through 100%, totally solid. Nobody phones it in. The music, I would say, is, again, consistent with the feel of TroN and TroN Legacy. The design fits within the feel of TroN and TroN Legacy. And I'm talking here about TroN AReS. And I believe that Jared Leto, when he is playing this role, is actually wearing a real suit. I don't think this is a bunch of CGI. Not to put creating with CGI down, but I think this was all people wearing real suits in the movie, and it kind of had a feel, a movement, a pacing of, during the action sequences of Superman, of the James Gunn Superman. It felt better than the Marvel movies, but it looked like, of course, the reason we're able to have all this is because of the Marvel movies and because of Star Wars, of course, George Lucas, and then also because of the original TroN. And I recommend this movie. I recommend TroN. I recommend TroN Legacy, and I recommend TroN AReS in that order. So now I need to go back and watch TroN. I can watch it here on the big screen at the house. And then I need to watch TroN Legacy. And then, if it's still playing in theaters, I'll go watch TroN AReS again. Only this time I'm going to watch it during a matinee, not in the evening, because I was starting to fall asleep at possibly the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie. It was a pretty good third act, as much as I can remember, just a bunch of stuff moving around. But overall, the character, TroN AReS, has a good resolve, as you will see, in many ways, many references to the original TroN and TroN Legacy, and then it making its own TroN as TroN AReS, holds up as a 10 out of 10. And I will say, as far as lights, I'm going to put this in the design, makeup, not a lot of overdone makeup, some referencing here and there for features on the face to accent, but nothing really extreme. Jared Leto playing AReS has a beard, which I think is an interesting choice. And this guy has a beard, but yet you can see all the range of his facial movement and his expression in every scene. And I would put him on very similar in type, look, and feel generally as to Jake Gyllenhaal. And I think possibly seeing the character as cast now here, Jared Leto as AReS, I kind of feel like Jake Gyllenhaal might have been able to play this role a similar way because he has a similar look to him, I think. But Jared Leto dissolves into these roles that he plays. And take a look at this one versus the Joker from Suicide Squad, or Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and or whatever else he's played. I know he did a character in Blade Runner 2049, and I'm pretty sure we have not seen. I put him on a Willem Dafoe level as well, so possibly maybe Willem Dafoe could have played this role. I don't know, but whatever it was just a bunch of stuff moving around the third act. But I did see a good payoff with this character. And maybe you're interested in it, maybe you're not. I had a friend of mine recently that said their reaction to it was, and I thought, yeah, I guess that is, if you're not into it, you're not into it. But again, overall, like if you went to see this movie versus going to see The Phantom Menace, there's a lot of people that would say the same thing about The Phantom Menace. However, the difference between this movie and The Phantom Menace is that one is easier to follow as a story for kids. And TroN AReS is really like you're looking at a painting. I think you could watch this movie with no sound and just have some other kind of music playing, your own soundtrack. Oh, speaking of music, 9 Inch Nails, original soundtrack. I'm going to put this in the category of 10 out of 10, the soundtrack. I'm going to say the soundtrack for this movie, and I met a guy after the movie, the theater operator, who said he didn't like the soundtrack. He thought the music was no good. He might have said terrible. But maybe it's just that overall TroN music is not known for being overly memorable. I would put TroN music on the level of any John Carpenter track, any John Carpenter arranged, orchestrated track. I would put all of TroN music on the level of the best and highest quality Doctor Who soundtrack. It's ubiquitously there, but it's totally not memorable, but also not lamentably forgettable as the Captain America soundtrack by Alan Silvestri, except for that one number. It was just forgettable. But this one has a good soundtrack. It's solid for the TroN feel. It doesn't feel out of place. There's nothing about it that's white stripes. Oh, and by the way, so it was just not different, shockingly its own for the sake of making its own mark. It fit well within the theme of the movie, the feel of it, and also it fit well to convey the tone of each scene. And the transitions were, of course, very synthy and very Doctor Who-esque. The highest quality stuff. Like, I'm talking the Fourth Doctor. It's that kind of a feel to it. Very TroN. And then, again, no spoilers. This is spoiler-free, but if you love the original movie and you love, I'm not going to say if you love the TroN Legacy, because TroN Legacy is I think it's the most different of all of the TroN movies now that I've seen all three of them. It is definitely its own thing within TroN, but so is TroN and so is TroN AReS. But TroN AReS is a lot more TroN than it is TroN Legacy. But in a way that's totally respectful and also that opens up the door to possibly another interpretation as it's ongoing in the time of that presentation, whatever the technology will be at that time. Because when the original TroN came out, the movies that were produced at that time looked a certain way based on the technology that was accessible and even readable and understandable by the viewer. Because I remember when I first saw Star Wars in 1977, I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. I never saw anything like that. Even though I had seen Buck Rogers and Duck Rogers, and I'd see all that, and I knew all that, and I grew up watching The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves. I'd seen it all. I knew all of that, and ray guns. But I never saw anything like Star Wars when that first came out. I almost didn't know what to think of it. And that's not how I felt when I watched TroN AReS, but that is how I felt when I watched TroN. But not in the same way as Star Wars. With Star Wars, I wanted to go back and see it a lot more. And with TroN, I just wondered what the heck was that all about. But it's a classic movie, and I've always been a fan of that movie. And I went to go see, of course, TroN Legacy. And when I say fan, I do not mean a Lord of the Rings type of a fan, or I might go to one of these cons and dress up as either TroN or whoever these people are, or as Flynn, and then argue with people over the details of various scientific sci-fi elements of the movie, or the intentions of the people, or what their true motivations were in the movie, and argue about continuity. Nothing about this movie lends itself to that, unless you're a super hardcore weirdo. This movie is just a movie that you would go see if you were not a TroN fan. I'm gonna say this movie's not for you. I'm not going to say that you should not see it or that you will not like it. I'm saying, here, let me clarify this. If you love TroN, you're going to love TroN AReS. And we'll start the rating there. As this movie lines up with and compares to TroN, the original TroN AReS, 10 out of 10. And as this movie fits into and supports and expands upon and sustains the world of TroN as a created universe, 10 out of 10. It fits with everything. TroN Legacy did the same thing. Fits with the design, the feel, the tone, the music, the action, script, plot. Man, all three of the plot, if you could tell me what's going on in any of these TroN movies, you're going to get the Nobel Peace Prize, in my opinion. And a lot of people complain that they don't understand what's going on in The Phantom Menace, even though the whole movie's explained in the opening title crawl for a 5-year-old that knows how to read. I can't tell you what is happening in these TroN movies. I don't know. I do not know. And it's not that they're bad movies. Of course, they're beautiful movies. And again, I've had a friend of mine say to me after we saw the movie that the beauty, if I can say this, if I can remember this correctly, the beauty of this movie is Jared Leto's acting, if I can paraphrase it, but that's how I saw it as well, is that the thread that really holds this movie together, TroN AReS, is Jared Leto. But everybody is equal. I mean, this movie's, even the guy that played the quote, bad guy, end quote, he's great. I don't know who this guy was. He looked like Michael Shannon. You know, of course, Zod, among other characters, Michael Shannon. But this guy was really good as this character and not a throwaway character, just not a throwaway meme or plot device or whatever. I want to look and see possibly, sure, you're always going to find plot holes and whatever in these movies. Nothing's perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect movie except for possibly The Rocketeer and maybe The Phantom Menace, possibly, for different reasons. But I think the key for TroN AReS being a 10 out of 10 overall is in the design, the intelligent design, if you will, and then also the connection, the purposeful connection to the original movie and movies and TroN universe that feels natural and is enjoyable, but also gives you the experience of, oh, cool, I remember that. And there's a lot of those types of references in the movie that feel natural, while at the same time, obvious, it's the audience talking there as the film is being made, and the actors are speaking out in the tone of the audience as they say, and they will encounter something in the movie that might call back to or be a direct connection to the design of or one of the original elements of the original movie or TroN Legacy, and one of the characters will say something like classic or whatever. I don't remember something like that, but they'll make a reference to what the audience is seeing as the audience is making that same reference in these terms. Wow, cool. That's like in the original TroN, or that was from TroN Legacy. Look, he's on the same thing, or whatever. Again, no spoilers. Now, I will say also, speaking of spoilers, some of these trailers that showed before, and that's my review of TroN AReS, is that it's a 10 out of 10. Lights, camera, action, clarity of computer-generated imagery, as well as costuming, designing, casting. Beautiful. I would say this is one of the most beautifully made films ever produced, ever presented on film. And I'm going to put this on the same level as Terminator 2 and The Phantom Menace for different reasons. 10 out of 10 for what it is. I think the lowest mark on this movie, again, I'm going to repeat this, a 3 out of 10 for understandability and follow along ability. I don't know what the heck was going on in TroN AReS. I still couldn't tell you. I can only tell you this. It's beautifully made. Sounds great, looks great, perfectly cast. Every single second of this movie, there's nothing that's lost. Although I do feel overall that at any time during this movie, if you would need to get up and get something or leave screen to go possibly get popcorn or use the bathroom or something wouldn't be that big of a deal. Even if you were out of the theater for about 5 minutes, you'd still pretty much be able to follow everything that's going on. It was just stuff moving around, and then people acting, good acting, great acting. Every single person cast in this, nobody's wasted. Even the supporting characters, and it's an ensemble cast. And then the lady, the actress from X-Files, of course, I think her name is Gillian Anderson. And she is so good in this, playing well, I'll let you see who it is, because I couldn't figure out where she was. I don't want to spoil it. I saw in the credits she's going to be in this, so I'm looking for her. I'm watching. Couldn't find her, and then I realized that's Gillian Anderson. Or Gillian Anderson. I think it's Gillian Anderson. But she's the one from X-Files, and it's just a beautifully made movie. I highly recommend this for all ages. I'd say maybe possibly a good double feature with this might be Pixels with Kevin James. Might be Pixels. And also maybe another double feature with this might be actually a more mature film. Pick your genre. It could be anything from comedy to... I would definitely not put this alongside of a Marvel movie as a double feature, except possibly Iron Man. I would put this as a double feature with Iron Man, but also Spider-Man, of course. I would put this on the same level as Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. And TroN AReS is not a feel-good movie. Although if you love TroN and you paid attention to the character story within this overall story here of TroN AReS, you will see that this character has a good resolve. I will say good in terms of satisfying to the audience as a good and rationally viable resolve to this character at the end of this movie, or by the end of the movie, that also again leaves the door open to more movies, possibly further adventures of character XYZ or characters X, Y, or Z. But you never know. So it's a great movie. I've got to see again who directed it. This is not my ultimate, you're not going to get every detail of this movie here in this, but I'll try to put as much of it in the description as I can. Remember to. But overall, TroN AReS, 10 out of 10. I would definitely, I would put this on the same level of quality in terms of quality of production. Overall, 10 out of 10. Overall script, 10 out of 10, as far as I can tell, because I couldn't really tell what was going on. But anytime I could see somebody's face moving and hear somebody's voice talking, all of it seemed to make sense at that minute. I just didn't know where it fit into the whole story. But there was no, as they say, clunky dialogue. A lot of good exposition that you'll see in the facial expressions of all of the actors, including Jared Leto, especially Jared Leto. The two main protagonist figures in this movie, I would say, would be Jared Leto and then this other person playing this other computer program, Athena. And these two actors are playing well off each other on the screen, and as well, while TroN AReS is, of course, I believe the main character, you have other characters such as this Eve, and she has a little partner, a little sidekick going on. Some parallels to Avatar in this, but there's another one. I'm going to put, I think the TroN AReS might do very well with Avatar in terms of design and quality and continuity, feel, overall tone. Except, of course, with that, the difference being that Avatar is a movie that makes you feel a lot more emotionally, obviously on purpose. TroN AReS is just a great movie. It's a well-made movie. It's a 10 out of 10. And I would also put this on the same level as The Black Hole. Disney's The Black Hole. And of course, TroN AReS is a Disney movie, I believe. And I think, I don't know who else was involved as a first producer of this movie, as a movie studio, but it's Disney, of course. And then The Black Hole, Disney. But The Black Hole, a lot of similarities here between this and TroN AReS and the TroN movies. Innovative, as well as somewhat different, is how I'll put it. And not in a bad way, it's just different. It's a different feel. The Black Hole is a different type of a feel. It's obviously a Jules Verne take, so to speak, such as the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And then, of course, now you're in outer space with this guy that's flying around in space. And it's a different type of a movie. But I think where The Black Hole lacked in music in a different way, even though the music was great for The Black Hole, I think it might have helped to have a somewhat of a different tone for pacing in that movie. And again, The Black Hole, beautifully made. But the difference between The Black Hole and my feel, in my opinion, the way I encounter this stuff and think about it, maybe you think about it a different way. But the way I think about it is TroN AReS moved faster. It felt more exciting, but it didn't mean I followed the story or anything that was going on. Whereas The Black Hole, it's not pulse pounding, seat of your pants thrilling. It's not like that, but it still is a beautiful movie. It's got a great, if somewhat odd, resolve to it, but it's a great movie, and I highly recommend it, The Black Hole. And I highly recommend TroN AReS. And I think it's an all-ages movie. You can take anybody to see this movie, and they're either going to get it, follow it, love it, or get bored by it, or possibly hate it. But there's nothing in this movie that's going to offend anybody, as far as I can tell. It's rated as PG-13 by the organization that does that rating system, and it really possibly does have some PG-13 moments in it, but again, along the line of Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, not even close. This is more of a possibly Superman, James Gunn Superman, moving into the PG-13 area. But there is a lot of stuff moving around, things blowing up, people getting angry, shouting. And I do remember one scene. This is definitely PG-13. There is some violence in this movie, and this is where the PG-13 would come in. And this is the principal. Well, let me put it this way: this is essential to the story. These certain violence is depicted. It's not gratuitous, and it's not overly done, and it's not grotesque. But this is a definite PG-13. So if you do take small kids to see this, keep this in mind for depictions of violence. I would definitely say this is PG-13. And other than that, it's a great movie for all ages. There's nothing in this movie that would scare anybody off, I think, on a Sunday morning or Saturday morning or Wednesday night or whatever, wherever it is you are that you do these things when you're scared of movies. This is not a movie to be afraid of. It's a quality movie, and it's a good movie. It's not a movie that you would just throw away in the dollar recycle bin. This respects and lifts up and continues the legacy of TroN as a 10 out of 10. And again, I want to acknowledge all the people that went into making this movie. I don't remember their names. I didn't remember all of their names, but it's a quality movie. I will give descriptions in the description here. I'll give credit. And I will try not to leave anyone out. And then I might do a full commentary on TroN and TroN Legacy coming up. But I need to watch TroN Legacy. I need to watch TroN. And then I need to watch TroN Legacy again. And then I need to watch TroN AReS. And then I will do a full and complete breakdown on each of the movies overall and what I think about them. And I will be much more prepared at that time to give all of the names of the people, the directors, and so on and so forth, the screenwriters, and of course, the original source material. And I don't know who came up with this originally, TroN, but I would put it up there with this is Terminator 2 level sci-fi, and it's a beautifully made movie. TroN AReS, 10 out of 10 for what it is. TroN AReS.